Today, we're tackling a question I hear often in my practice: why do so many people, even those who were sharp and active in their 70s, seem to fade after 80? It's not just about genetics or luck, there are hidden reasons most folks miss. I'm diving deep into 5 surprising factors that could be quietly dimming your spark, with practical, science-backed steps you can take today to stay vibrant well into your 80s and beyond. These aren't the usual tips about diet or exercise. They're deeper insights from my work with thousands of patients, woven with stories that'll feel close to home. So, grab a cozy seat, maybe a cup of coffee, and let's uncover how you can thrive, not just survive, as you age. 1. The silent loss of everyday connections. You know those little moments that brighten your day, waving to your neighbor as they water their roses, swapping a quick joke with the cashier at the grocery store, or chatting with the mail carrier about the weather. These aren't just passing pleasantries, they're micro-connections that act like oxygen for your brain and spirit. As a geriatric specialist, I've seen how these tiny interactions do big things. They calm your nervous system, lift your mood, and keep your brain's social circuits firing. They remind you, even subtly, that you're part of a living, breathing community. But after 80, these moments often slip away. Maybe you're relying on online grocery delivery to avoid the store, or your hearing makes small talk feel like a chore. Perhaps you've stopped walking to the corner cafe because the sidewalk feels uneven. It's not a dramatic shift, but over time, losing these connections can make you feel invisible. And your body feels that isolation, even if your mind doesn't name it. Research from the National Institute on Aging shows that social isolation, even the subtle kind, increases inflammation markers like C-reactive protein by up to 20%, weakens immunity, and shrinks neural networks tied to memory and attention. It's like your brain starts to downsize when it's not socially engaged. A 2024 study in neurology found that older adults with fewer daily social interactions had a 25% higher risk of cognitive decline over 5 years. These microconnections also release oxytocin, a hormone that reduces stress and supports heart health. Unlike deep friendships or family ties, these small interactions are easy to overlook. But they're the glue that holds your sense of belonging together. When they fade, you might not notice right away, but your mood dips, your energy lags, and your brain starts to feel foggy. I've had patients tell me they didn't realize how much they missed chatting with their pharmacist until they switched to mail order prescriptions. That loss of connection isn't just emotional, it's physical. Start with one small step to weave micro-connections back into your day. Take a 5-minute walk around your block and smile at a neighbor. Visit your local library or coffee shop and say hello to the staff. If mobility or hearing is an issue, try calling a friend for a quick catch-up or even striking up a conversation with your delivery driver. I had a patient, Clara, 83, who stayed razor-sharp by chatting with the same dog walkers in her park every morning. Those brief hellos gave her day's structure and a spark of joy. Another patient, Mary, 80, started leaving thank you notes for her mail carrier, sparking short but meaningful exchanges. You don't need deep friendships, just a few moments each day to signal to your brain that you're still part of the world. If you're shy or feel out of practice, try a connection challenge. For 1 week, aim to say hello to one new person each day: a cashier, a passerby, or even someone in your apartment building. Write down how it feels. You'll be surprised how these tiny moments add up to a bigger sense of vitality. 2. Fear-driven stillness. In my practice, I see this pattern too often: a small stumble on the stairs, a dizzy spell, or a near miss on the sidewalk sparks fear, and that fear leads to sitting still. It feels like the wise choice, avoiding risk, staying safe. Maybe you skip your evening walk, stop bending to pick up the newspaper, or spend more time in your recliner. Your family might even cheer you on, saying, "Take it easy." But here's the hard truth: your body isn't a car you park to preserve. It's a dynamic system that needs movement to stay strong. When you stop moving, your core muscles weaken, your balance falters, and your energy fades. It's a vicious cycle that makes you feel older, faster, and it's one of the sneakiest reasons people fade after 80. A 2023 study from the National Institute on Aging found that just 2 weeks of reduced activity can cut muscle strength by 10 to 15% in older adults. That's enough to make standing, walking, or even getting out of a chair feel shaky, which fuels more fear. Another study in the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy showed that loss of core muscle strength increases fall risk by 30% in people over 80. Movement also stimulates blood flow to the brain, supporting cognitive function. When you sit still, you're not just losing muscle, you're dimming your brain's alertness. The shift to stillness often starts with good intentions, but it snowballs. I've seen patients like Walter, 82, who stopped his daily walks after a slip on wet grass. No injury, just a scare. Within 6 months, he'd lost 12 pounds of muscle, his legs felt unsteady, and he needed a walker. He didn't weaken because he was old, he weakened because he stopped moving. The tragedy is that this cycle is preventable, but it requires courage to break. Move smarter, not harder. If you're worried about falls, use a handrail, wear sturdy shoes, or try chair-based exercises. Start with 5 minutes of gentle movement daily, seated leg lifts, arm circles, or stretching while watching TV. My patient Tom, 81, began doing chair yoga after a fall scared him off walks. 6 months later, he was back to strolling his neighborhood with confidence. If you're unsure where to start, ask your doctor or a physical therapist for a tailored plan. And here's a key question to ask yourself: am I resting to stay safe, or am I letting fear shrink my world? Even small movements tell your body it's still needed. Try a movement journal. Each day, jot down one way you moved, whether it's a walk to the mailbox or a stretch in the kitchen. Seeing your progress builds confidence and keeps you motivated. If you need inspiration, check out local senior centers. Many offer free Tai Chi or balance classes that are both safe and fun. 3 light-starved days and sleepless nights. Your body runs on an internal clock, your circadian rhythm, that controls everything from sleep to mood to how your brain repairs itself at night. After 80, this clock gets extra sensitive, especially if you're not getting enough natural light during the day or you're surrounded by artificial light at night. Maybe you're spending more time indoors, napping in the afternoon, or watching TV until bedtime. These habits might seem harmless, but they confuse your brain, leading to restless nights, foggy days, and a creeping sense of fatigue. In my practice, I've seen patients transform their energy and clarity just by tweaking their light exposure. A 2024 study in sleep medicine found that older adults with irregular light exposure had a 30% higher risk of cognitive decline and a 25% increase in depressive symptoms. Natural light, especially in the morning, triggers serotonin production, which boosts mood and alertness. At night, darkness signals melatonin release for deep, restorative sleep. Artificial light from screens or lamps disrupts this, suppressing melatonin by up to 50%, per a 2023 Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine study. Plus, less sunlight means less vitamin D, which drops bone density and immune function in older adults. Poor sleep doesn't just make you tired, it weakens your immune system, muddles your memory, and even raises your risk of heart disease. I've had patients like Helen, 84, who felt groggy despite sleeping 8 hours. Her blood work was fine, but she was spending her days indoors with curtains drawn and her evenings on her tablet. After 2 weeks of morning sunlight and no screens before bed, her sleep, mood, and focus improved dramatically. Light isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Aim for 10 to 15 minutes of natural light each morning, even if it's just sitting on your porch or by an open window. Take a short walk if you can, or sip your coffee outside. At night, dim your lights and avoid screens an hour before bed. Try reading a book or listening to soft music instead. If you live in a cloudy area, consider a light therapy lamp, 10,000 lux, for 20 minutes daily, Check with your doctor first. Another patient, Bob, 82, started eating breakfast by his bay window and using amber-tinted glasses at night to block blue light. Within a month, he was sleeping better and felt sharper during the day. Create a light routine. Set a reminder to step outside each morning, and make your evenings a screen-free ritual. Maybe light a candle or play a favorite record. These small shifts can reset your body's clock and recharge your energy. 4 days without purpose. Purpose isn't about grand achievements like writing a novel or running a marathon. It's the small, quiet reasons you get out of bed, like watering your tomato plants, calling your granddaughter, or feeding the sparrows in your backyard. These little routines give your days texture and your heart a rhythm. After 80, though, these anchors can slip away. Maybe your book club disbanded, your volunteer role ended when your mobility changed, or your family visits less often. Without purpose, days start to blur, and your body begins to slow down, not because it's broken, but because it's waiting for a signal to keep going. In my practice, I've seen how a lack of purpose can dim even the healthiest patients. A 2022 study in the Lancet Public Health found that older adults with a sense of purpose had a 20% lower risk of mortality over 5 years and a 15% lower risk of cognitive decline. Purpose stimulates dopamine release, which supports motivation and brain health. It also lowers stress hormones, protecting your heart and immune system. Without it, your body's repair systems like cell regeneration and immune response start to idle. Purpose doesn't have to be flashy, but it's essential. I met Ruth, 88, who seemed more alive than folks half her age. She wasn't rich or in perfect health, but every Monday, she wrote postcards to shut-ins in her church. Every Thursday, she made soup for a local shelter. Every afternoon, she waved to neighborhood kids walking home from school. Those small acts gave her life continuity and meaning. In contrast, I've seen patients like Ed, 85, who lost his spark after his weekly poker game stopped. He told me, "I don't know why I'm getting up anymore." That's not just sadness, it's a signal your body needs a reason to stay engaged. Find one small thing to anchor your day. It could be tending a house plant, knitting a scarf for a grandchild, or calling a friend to check in. If you're not sure where to start, think about what you've always loved. Maybe it's music, animals, or storytelling, and find a way to bring it back in a small way. For example, my patient Sarah, 87, started a pen pal program with local school kids, writing short letters each week. It gave her a reason to smile every morning. You can also join a community group. Many senior centers offer low-key activities like gardening clubs or book discussions. The key is consistency, not scale. Your body thrives when it knows it matters. Try a purpose experiment. For 1 week, commit to one daily task that feels meaningful, maybe leaving a kind note for your neighbor or feeding birds in your yard. At the end of the week, notice how your energy and mood feel. You'll likely find your days have a new rhythm. 5. The weight of unspoken grief. By 80, most of us have lost someone dear: a spouse, a friend, maybe even a child. Society expects you to move on, but grief doesn't work that way. When you bottle up those feelings, they don't vanish, they settle into your body, raising stress hormones, disrupting sleep, and dimming your spark. I've seen patients who look fine on the outside but carry a quiet heaviness that's stealing their vitality. Chronic emotional suppression is linked to higher cortisol levels, which weaken immunity and increase risks of heart disease and depression, per a 2024 Journal of Gerontology study. Let it out, even a little. Write a letter to someone you've lost, join a grief support group, or talk to a trusted friend. My patient George, 86, started journaling about his late wife. It wasn't dramatic, but it lifted a weight he didn't know he was carrying. You don't have to cry rivers, just give your heart space to breathe. Here's the beautiful truth: fading after 80 isn't a done deal. It's often the result of small, quiet shifts you can reverse with small, intentional steps. Think about the 5 reasons we've covered. Which one spoke to you? Maybe it's the way you've stopped chatting with folks at the store, or how fear's keeping you from moving. Maybe it's the late night TV messing with your sleep, or the sense that your days need a bit more purpose. Pick one thing to try this week, maybe a morning walk to soak in some light, a quick hello to a neighbor, a stretch by your window, or a note to someone you miss. These aren't just tips, they're science-backed ways to tell your body and soul, we're still here, and we're still thriving. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Share one thing you learned today or one small step you're excited to try. Your story might just inspire someone else watching. If this video opened your eyes or gave you hope, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell so you don't miss our weekly tips to live fuller at any age. Share this with a friend or family member, it could spark a change that adds years to their life.